Dr. Deepak Meghur is our next speaker, who is a consultant at Meghur Eye Care Center, Bidar, and heads the cataract and glaucoma departments, specializing in some of the most complex surgeries and again a teacher par excellence. So let's hear from you, Dr. Deepak. Could you share your video?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity. And am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay. My screen is visible, I guess.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you for the opportunity again, the team ARC. So I'll be speaking on a case of pseudoexfoliation with the non-dilating pupil. And obviously, most of the cases, if we anticipate certain problems and we can plan it well and execute well, most of the complex situations can be managed pretty well. This is one such case where I'd like to, an elderly man with a non-dilating pupil with suspected loose zonules. And that's the reason I decided to do a manual small incision cataract surgery in case. Slit lamp evaluation did reveal evidence of phacodonosis. And the plan was this, to save the bag because the bag would be very much loose in this case and try to put in a lens in this patient, who's an elderly man. So this was my plan, use hooks for papillary dilatation, CTR, and then PC lens. That was the plan. And this is how I proceed with my case. The surgery is being done under posterior subtenuous anesthesia. So I usually do a posterior scleral groove just to stabilize my in the globe when I'm performing this tunnel incision here. So this is what is my where I stabilize the globe, and then using a typical precision blade, we do a tunnel. And I usually avoid cautery. I just use my assistant to irrigate so that I can see well, and just avoid cautery just to prevent any uncontrolled astigmatism. I'm planning a very big incision. It's about 7.5 millimeter in width, because I'm not sure about the density and size of the nucleus, because I just want to be well prepared here. The strategy now here is to, first, I want to make a bigger rhexis. The biggest limitation for me is the size of the pupil. I'm entering the incision. You can see the incision has to be always parallel to the limbus so that the valvular effect is not lost. So this step is critical. So even if you go up to 7.5 millimeter also, you have a self-sealing nature. To expand the pupil, I've decided to use hooks here. And in this case, I'm using capsule hooks consciously and avoiding iris hooks. I want to use these hooks to support the bag as well if the need arises. So that was my strategy, to use these capsule hooks here. The whole point is we want to dilate the pupil because I want a bigger rhexis in this case, because manipulating the nucleus out of the bag in an eye with loose zonules is a surefire recipe for intracapsular extraction. So to avoid that, I want to enlarge the pupil, and stretching of the pupil is done at the last moment. So we don't want to tear the things sphincter. You can see the lens is quite wobbly here. I can see the wrinkling of the entry capsule, which is all suggestive of significant zonular weakness, but the capsule could be toned quite well. And in such situations, I always prefer to use forceps compared to that of a needle, because it is much less stressful of the zonule, tears easily. And the goal is to do a bigger rhexis. But having done this, I still am not sure about the size of rhexis. So in this area, I want to enlarge it. I want to put in another hook here, and it is introduced obliquely so that I don't engage the rhexis margin. And then I want to enlarge this part of the rhexis. So now I'm sure that, I have a big enough rhexis. After doing a gentle head dissection, ensure that the corticocapsular adhesion is broken. And using a bimanual technique, using 2 Sinskey hooks, I manipulate the big nucleus out of the bag here. The superior hook comes out now. I'm creating space under and above the nucleus by using sodium hyaluronate. And again, disengaging one of the hooks here. It had slipped, and I'm just trying to remove it out so that I don't have any obstruction while delivering the nucleus. My plan is to just use a phaco sandwich technique here, using the Vectis and the dialer. Under the cover of the viscoelastic, it is expressed out. So now we have epinucleus, which is visco-expressed. Again, the challenging thing in these cases is to remove the cortex. The cortex will be very sticky, and In this process, more likely we may enhance the zonular damage, which is already pre-existing. So now I stop here and inject OVD into the bag. Then I'm going to insert a CTR so that it gives me a 360-degree circumferential support and also a tension for me to work and remove the little bit of cortex which is there. So that helps here. And then I'm going to place in the multi-piece hydrophobic lens into the bag, and then it is removed. So the viscoelastic both in front and behind is removed, and the patient did quite well. Again, the message is, the SICS surgeons, the hooks do have a great role to play here. So that was it, ma'am. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
That was a wonderful surgery which you showed. But it just made me wonder, keeping in mind the surgeon of your potential, you could have easily done a phaco, in this case, supported with capsular hooks too. You made SICS look as graceful and wonderful. So what becomes your deciding factor?
In this case, I was not sure about the density of the nucleus in this patient because although it was looking white, later on it doesn't look so dense. So I didn't know the ability of the density of the nucleus was a thing which I was worried about, and the patient was quite old. So assuming that if I had to do an anterior plane emulsification, it's an 80-year-old man. So I was also worried about endothelial damage during the thing. So anticipating these things, that was my conscious decision to do the SICS in this patient.
So Deepak, I just want to ask you one thing. The economics would not have been suppose the economics was not an issue in this case, still you would go ahead and do a SICS?
Yeah, in this case, economics was not an issue. It was my just a decision here. I think because density of the nucleus, I wasn't so sure. That was the thing, basically. So basically, I was even thinking that patient would require an intracapsular extraction and iris claw lens. So even I was pretty. So I wanted to do a very quick procedure, fast procedure. If the bag was not able to salvage, then I was thinking of going it with a iris claw lens. That was the issue.
What percentage of your practice is phaco and what percentage is SICS now?
98% would be phaco and maybe 1 or 2% is SICS.
I have two more.
Another question, which microscope is this and which recording system is this? I mean, it's just too good. Every single every single vessel was seen there.
Ma'am, it is just the same as Zeiss Lumira microscope, ma'am. And I use a Sony DSLR camera with that. That's all.
Dr. Deepak, without any financial interest, I wanted to ask you, did you ever think of using phenocaine, phenylephrine for pupil dilatation instead of the hooks?
They usually, I've used phenocaine and a lot of things, but if the pupil is rigid, they really don't help much. If the pupil has a potential to dilate, then you can, all these chemical agents are going to help. I'm sure I've used adrenaline in this patient to dilate. It didn't dilate. That was the maximum dilatation could be possible.
Deepak, could you have done the sphincterectomy in this case?
Yes, sir. That's an excellent question. The idea is, there are a couple of disadvantages of sphincterotomies. One is the amount of dilatation which we can have is limited in sphincterotomies. You can prevent intraoperative meiosis. It dilates to a certain extent. But in some situations where you want a good peripheral visualization also, you want to see the edge of the rhexis all the time, then the hooks are your best bet because you can always pull and control, titrate the amount of pupillary dilatation which you would want to have. So that is one advantage. And the second advantage of using a capsule hook, as I told, I would want to use the same hooks to engage the capsular margin as well. So that was the idea of using the hooks here.
I have two questions for you, Dr. Deepak. One is because, of course, he's an 80-year-old man, but because it's a progressive zonulopathy, I wondered, and you said there was phacodonosis, why you felt a CTR alone would suffice. One question. Second question, probably you could have placed the 3-piece lens with the haptics and the sulcus and with an optic capture. That might have helped the IOL to remain more locked in.
Excellent questions, ma'am. Again, coming to the second point, I do the IOL trap technique very frequently. In this case, it was not possible because of the large rhexis here.
Yes.
The rhexis was very large. That was the reason why I couldn't use the technique. So that's the reason why the lens had to go into the bag. Now, going on to what was the first question, ma'am? I just
That
forgot.
support, extra support, then just
Yeah.
a CPR.
So I had to use two segments here because if at all I wanted to, because it was generalized zonular weakness was a concern here, I had to use two CTSS here on opposite send. But intraoperative, I felt it would do the job. So that was the reason I opted out.
Yes. Wonderful video, and please stay with us till all our surgeons are done. There would be a lot of extra questions which you would ask them too. Because I want
Thank
to
you.
yeah,